The following is an introductory video to the quizzes tool available in Brightspace. This is a really powerful tool, and although it does take some work on the front end and getting a quiz all set up, it can really make your life easier with marking and automatic export of grades. So to get started, you're going to go up to the Edit Quiz, Edit Course button, click there, and scroll down to the Assessment tab where you're going to find quizzes. Okay. Now I'll show you, once you've created a quiz for students, you can either actually put a quiz button right up here just by going to the Customize Navbar and adding a quiz navbar button if that's something you're going to use really frequently, or you can actually post your quizzes in announcements and activity feed. I'll show that once we have it made. So click on the quizzes button. And at this point, we want to start a new quiz. First and foremost, naming your quiz. Generally, especially if you're going to have a number of quizzes, naming it in some sort of chronological order or by unit, up to you how you organize them. In this case, let's assume I'm doing a Romeo and Juliet Act 1 quiz. For category, I personally generally leave those blank. I don't really deal with categories when it comes to quizzes. This is actually the spot where you will enter all of your quiz questions. So we're going to come back to that in a minute. And then down below here, you have a few different options. So the description or introduction, this is actually what shows before they begin the quiz. So if I had a timed quiz, I would say something along the lines of, please ensure you have fully read Act 1 of Romeo and Juliet before beginning this, or you will have 30 minutes to complete the quiz. So do not begin until you're ready. That way, it kind of gives them a quick overview. Early on, I didn't include messages like this. And the problem is students, once they start an attempt, usually you only will allow one attempt of that quiz. Once they've pressed that start quiz button, there's no going back. They can't say, oh, I didn't mean to start this now, and exit out of their browser. If they do that, it will just count down the 30 minutes and time them out and give them 0. So I like to give them that sort of warning, don't start until you've done these things. And that's what the description will do, or the introduction. The description, will do. The introduction, on the other hand, this will actually show once they've pressed that start quiz button, this will show up as a message as well. I don't tend to use it. I do tend to use the description button instead. Okay, so that's everything that you're going to be able to do under properties. Let's move on to restrictions. So this is just setting up all of these key things of the quiz before we actually start getting into making the questions. So right now we're going to hide from users. I don't want them seeing it until I have it ready. Maybe you have a particular time you would like it to be completed by, or when it's actually available. So maybe it's only available for a single day or a single night. Maybe this is something you've assigned for a Thursday night between, between 5 p.m. and an end date of the same night at 10 p.m. or now, whatever, 10:30. So they got 4.5 hours to actually do this quiz. You've let them know in class if this is a blended learning model, and they know that night they have to go home and do this. Okay. Down below, this is where you can actually set a set number of minutes that's provided. So recommended just means that it will say, hey, this is how long it should take you. If you do want to enforce a time limit, you can press the enforced, and then you can set it to be 30 minutes for them to complete this whole quiz of 20 questions with a grace period of 5. So it will give them up to 35 minutes. Okay. And then it's up to you what you want. Once they've used up that entire 35 minutes, are you actually going to let them keep going? Are you going to prevent the student from moving on, etc.? Special access has to do with allowing certain students with IEPs to have additional access. So you can actually allow specific users to have longer than the 35 minutes or extra attempts, depending on the IEP. When we go to assessment, this is an important piece when it comes to what happens once the students have all finished the quiz, and how can you see the final mark. So first and foremost, you have to create a grade item. If you don't create a grade item, essentially when you mark the quiz, only you will be able to see the final grade. I personally always like to have a grade item. That way, once I've marked it, they can see the quiz results right through Brightspace. Even if I give them to them in person, it's there sort of as a history piece. So really easy. You just click right here to add grade item. This will populate a new little box. I always name personally my grade items the exact same as what the quiz is called. So Romeo and Juliet, Act 1 quiz. The short name I utilize because this is a really big title for a when you go to the grades tool. This is going to be huge. So if I just write Act 1 quiz, that's what will actually show in the grades item. And really, it's clear that we're only doing one Shakespeare play if we're doing a Shakespeare play, and that's it. Category, again, we're leaving blank. This you may have to come back and change if you've once you get into the questions and you make it bigger than you think. But let's say I know I want 20 questions. That's the amount of points that it's out of. It's basically what is it out of. Right now I'm assuming I'm going to have 20 questions in there. I'm going to leave these blank. Okay. And then depending on if you are calculating your final grades and things like that, I would leave this unchecked. You can have it set up in the grades that they can't actually see a final grade calculation if you're just trying to show individual grades. So generally leave that blank. Okay, the rest is good. So save. That's now created an item in grades that it will export to. And that's what we get with these two buttons here. These are pretty confusing, if I'm being honest, and what they allow. Here's what I'll say. If you're doing a quiz that has only quiz questions that can be automatically graded, so true, false, multiple choice, matching, all things that you can put the definitive answer to, you actually want to check both of these. So this allows the students to see their grade as soon as it's graded, okay, and allows it to be graded. And this, clicking this, allows that grade to move over to the grades tool. And that's actually where you're going to see the results. You don't even have to come back to the quiz. You go to grades and actually can see what they got out of 20. Now, if you're including short answers, so if you're teaching English and you want to include some short answer questions, you don't want this clicked. You actually don't want the students to be able to see it. And here's why. It will automatically grade all of the things that it can. So multiple choice, true, false. It will grade those. When it gets to a short answer question, it will actually give them a 0 out of whatever it's out of. So let's say they get to a short answer question that's out of 3. It will give them a 0 out of 3. The students won't know, though, that you still have to come in and mark those short answers, because obviously you can't tell the computer what the answer is. You want to be able to assess what they got out of 3. So the student will end up seeing that they got 0, thinking they didn't understand the question at all. And it's just going to lead to some frantic emails to the teachers, I think, saying like, I thought I got this. Why did I get 0? I would generally not want the teacher or the students to see the graded item. Okay. So I'll show the workflow. I'm going to make a quiz that does have a short answer just to show you how to go in and mark those. It still will automatically mark all the other things and allow you to mark those ones where the teacher's professional judgment is needed. Objectives, we don't need to go into at all. Submission views will just show what the student sees. Okay, and that's it. So we're going to go back to properties and actually make this quiz. So I'll show you a few different quiz questions that you can do. Let's go to add and edit questions. And I'm almost always going to use this. You can only import questions through a CSV file, and it gets pretty complicated. So generally, I build all of my quizzes right in Brightspace. Let's go to add. Now, if you would like, you can actually split up your quiz by sections. So like multiple choice, short answer, just sort of as you normally would in a quiz that they were taking face-to-face. Or you could split it up by Kika, so like knowledge and communication or application. You could set those up that way as well. So I'll show that first. So section, clicked on that. Section title, I'm just going to put multiple choice. And then you can include some instructions. So please select the most correct answer. That will display for them right under this banner. And save. This will bring me back to a page that shows me my header. Once it loads, there we go. There's my header. Okay, now because it's selected with the blue box around it, when I add a question, it will put it under that header. So I'm going to click add, I'm going to go to new question. I'm going to click. There are all of the different options. And this is really improved since previous iterations of Brightspace. They've really done some good work on making a more robust version of the quiz tool. So I know I'm working on my multiple choice banner, so I'm going to go to multiple choice. And this one's pretty easy to set up. So quiz question. Again, I would say pretty terrible quiz question, but making it on the fly here. Okay, so I put in my answers. You can add more if you want it to be out of more than A, B, C, and D, or more than 4 options, sorry. You do have to make sure to tell the computer, well, what's correct. So we know it's Montague. So it's telling it that it is correct from there. Okay. I always click this personally, randomize answer order. So what will happen is these 4 will randomize for every single student. So a student can't be like, oh, it's always it's the first one on the Romeo's last name. It can be completely different for every student. So I always click that. And then what you'd like it to be out of, generally my multiple choice or out of 1 mark. Okay, and then you can press save, or you can press save and new, okay, so that you can go to a new multiple choice question. So it allows the workflow to keep going pretty quickly. Okay, so I'm going to type in another one there. Just watched a debate with him, so he's on my mind apparently. Going political. Select obviously the correct answer. We're going to randomize, and I'm going to press save. Instead of save and new, there are my 2 questions. You can move them around if you want, just by clicking right here, and you can move them in their order. Okay. And at that point, let's say I want to create a new section. So again, I'm going to go to section title. I'm going to put short answer. Okay. So again, just that, so same prompts that you would on a normal test. Press save. It's going to create that new section. Oh, that's right. I did forget to do that. So when you're creating questions, sometimes they don't pop into the right section. Notice how this one is actually more to the left than this. So you just got to go to these dots right here, right click and hold, and then you can drag it into the section. Sometimes it goes in and it's no problem. If you notice there, it didn't. So it needs to be moved into this folder or this header. So for short answer, I'm going to click there. And I want a new question, and I want a short answer question. So again, and you can set it to be, written response. You want written response if you're looking for short answer, sorry. And the reason being is the short answer, you could basically set it like if you were looking for a really particular answer, like what is the last name of the author of Romeo and Juliet, you could have typed in Shakespeare there. I personally don't like that. They got to hit it perfectly for them to get the answer. Written response is really what we're looking for if you're looking for those short answer ones. So from there, let's say it's out of 2 questions, and we press save. Again, we're going to grab those dots and we're going to pull it over into the short answer section. And I'm going to show one more because this next one, it's a great quiz tool, but it is a little complicated, so it's worth going in this video. So we're going to press add. Again, we're going to create a new section. I'm going to make a matching section. Save. And go to add, new question, and find matching. Okay, so admittedly, it works really well. The setup on it is awful. It is not intuitive at all. So we'll go through that quick. I wouldn't add a title personally. The question text, again, here you're going to add that same piece, match characters to their appropriate descriptions. So I'm doing it so I have a list of character names, and maybe I have quotes, so maybe not descriptions, I say appropriate quotes, up to you. So it says question text, it doesn't actually have to be a question, it could also just be a description. Okay, this is important. If you have it defaults at all or nothing, and what that means is they are going to have to get every single matching right to get the set number of points that you set, which generally is not how we do matching. Usually you get a mark for whatever one you matched correctly. So we actually want to make sure we click equally weighted. If you don't, then you get one single one wrong if you do 10 of these, and they get 0. Okay, so the system defaults at basically two matchings. Okay, so we have, first of all, what the choices are that they can match over, and then what the actual question is. So I'm going to do Romeo, I'm going to do Juliet, and I'm going to say falls in love with Romeo. Juliet. And so falls in love with Romeo, we know that's Juliet. Look at the number there. We go down, select number 2 as the correct choice. We know that Juliet is the one who falls in love with Romeo. And here's the other, again, it's a great thing once it's set up. It's just not awesome for the setup. It will let you, it would be great if it just gets rid of 2 as an option. It doesn't. So you kind of have to really watch this stuff. We know it's actually 1, Romeo is who falls in love with Juliet. Now my answers are set up correctly. Okay. So before I show you the next part, I'm just going to save really quick. And I actually want to go back into that question. So I just click on it and it goes back in. Now let's say you want more than 2, because 2 is not a lot of matching. Let's say you want to add 2 more. So you'd add a 2 here, click add choice, and it will give you 2 more names that you can put in. You have to do the same thing here. It doesn't add it for some reason down below. So we press the 2 here. And at that point, it gives you 2 more options that you can pick. adds the number 3 and 4 as option pieces up here. And again, I might say the nurse, and I might say Tybalt, or let's go with nurse or Lady Capulet. Okay, and at that point, you're able to then put in their descriptions and select the correct thing for that. Now, last piece, you have 4 matching. So this, in my head, is then out of 4. We have to scroll up and we have to pick that. I just have to see where to press save. I'm just going to make this up here. That's 4. Save. Because right now it is out of 1, which is a problem. And because I saved it, it's gotten rid of my options here. So I'm going to have to find that. See what it says it's out of 1 point? That's obviously not what we want. So I believe if I go back, I can set that up differently. Yep. See, it says edit values. I can see what each is out of as a point. This doesn't make any sense that this is the same. You know, they have to do 4 matching for the same that they get from 1 multiple choice. So go to edit values. And I can set this to, I know it's out of 4. I'm going to set it to 4. Save and close. Now, I could have done that. When creating the question, but because I pressed save, it didn't let me go back. So this is the other way to change values. If you end up deciding, wow, you know what, that short answer question, it's actually should only be out of 1. So again, go to edit values. So my quiz right now, out of 8. Okay, I know everything else is set up correctly. I press save and close. At that point, the quiz is made. This icon right here is saying that it is a grade item, so it will export to grades once you've marked it. And this is saying it is hidden. So again, I'm gonna make it visible to my users. And I'm gonna flip over to a student here and just show you what they see. Oh, actually, good example. So I'm a student. I can't see it because the teacher hasn't actually added the test icon. There's no way for me as the student to get to this quiz. So I'll show you how to do that. Basically, you can add, as I said, you can go into the nav bar and customize it and add a quizzes button. But let's say you only do 2-3 quizzes a year. Maybe you don't want to. You can do it through announcements. You can create an announcement and attach the quiz there. Or if you just want to post the quiz for the night, okay, 1 quiz, I don't want to allow comments. I attach, and I'm going to attach an existing link. It'll generate a whole list of stuff, but we're going to go down to quizzes. We'll only list the quizzes that you've made. There it is. Now, I've only made this available from September 30th from 5 to 9:30. It's now past 9:30, so the student won't be able to see it. Okay, which is in this case a problem, but normally that wouldn't be a problem if you're posting that day. Post, and there you go. Now, just to show you from the student perspective, here it is, but if they're going to click on it, it won't work because it's past the time. Okay, so I'm going to go in really quick and just change that. So if you ever need to edit anything on the quiz, go to edit course. Go down to quizzes. You'll see your quiz. Down arrow. Go to edit. And you can change anything in the quiz at any time. In this case, I'm going to go to restrictions. Let's just say something wasn't working or I want to open it right up. I'm going to get rid of the availability. I'm going to make it fully and widely available to students at any time. Press save and close. Okay, so now as the student, when I click on it, it lets me. And there's those instructions I was talking about. Okay, it's telling me the key parts of it. There's a description, sorry. Don't keep going until you've read Act 1 if this was homework. You only have 30 minutes to do it. There it's telling me I only am allowed to do one of these. So the student really has to make sure they read that. As soon as they press the start quiz, timer will start, timer will show, okay? And in this case, there are my different headers, okay? And I can complete it. So I'm going to quickly go through it just to show you. Assuming the student hasn't read it. Here's what it looks like for them. Falls in love with Juliet. Oh, that's Romeo. They press 1. So this looks really nice, right? Again, I'm going to randomly select through here. Submit quiz. They get one final chance. Submit quiz. And that's it. It's in. So on the teacher side of things, okay, what you'll see is if you go to grades, it won't throw it into, this is from a previous attempt. Sorry, I was playing around with it before. Normally this would not show as an attempt. This is a previous attempt that I hadn't cleared out yet. So in order to mark that quiz that I now know has come in, okay, as the teacher, I go to Edit Course and I go to Quizzes. There it is. I now see, oh, someone's done it. It just hasn't been published. And when it says published, that means you haven't marked it, essentially. Once you've marked it and published it, it means the student can see it. It goes to grades and it's completed. So you click on the down arrow and you want to grade it. And this will show you a list of all the students who have completed that. Okay. Now it's saying the student only got 2 out of 8. That's because it's graded what it can. There are 2 marks on the line here that it hasn't added, okay, for those short answer. So again, in order to grade it, you just click on it and it will quickly show you everything that they've done. So they got the mark there, they got the 1, they didn't, it's not Obama, so they got 0. So it's automatically marked all of this. Here's where you as the teacher come in. Let's assume this is the right answer. They get 2. Again, they've marked it and given 1 out of 4. I publish. Once I publish, that is providing, it's going to move over to grades and show the student that. I publish. And at that point, you've now made the quiz and marked it, and it's moved over to grades. Okay, it's updated for that one, for the correct amount. Okay, and at that point, you've now completed the quiz for that student, and I would say that's a pretty easy workflow overall. Again, yes, absolutely take some time to set up a really good quiz in that, especially when you get into that 20-30 questions. But once it's made and it marks, 40-50% of it, if you have that much of it as multiple choice or matching, it can really make things easier on the other end for marking.